All right, good morning, everybody. I'm so glad to see your faces.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Do you
Good
see me?
morning.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to the Wednesday AM Meditative Writing Circle. My name is Halona Black, and we meet every week, every Wednesday morning, at least on my side of the world. I see a few faces, some of you all on the other side, so it's late night where you are. Um, yeah, so we meet every week to be able to sit down and we learn how to be able to nurture our creative writer selves. Just a nice way to be able to spend an hour on a Wednesday nurturing our own creativity first thing in the morning. And excuse me, today's session is all about rewriting the narrative of who we are as writers. I actually added that piece on at the bottom. Who are we as writers? And who do we think we want to be as writers as we move into 2025? What does that look like for us? Whether you decide that you want to be a professional writer or you just decide that you want to be able to write some things for yourself, you get to decide, and it's all welcome. There's some other people coming in, some new people, new faces. I see Janelle. Kim is coming in, Danielle. Welcome. So before we actually get started, I always like to be able to start with just a short meditation. I see Lakeisha, I see Lauren. Welcome. What I like to do generally for myself when I do meditations is I cut off my video for just for a couple of moments, just to be able to focus on self. And if you can just arrange yourself to be settled where you are, close your eyes, take in a deep breath. And just start to breathe normally. Sit up tall in your seat, but make sure that you still feel comfortable at the same time. And you can place your hands wherever it is that you feel most comfortable in your lap. Place the bottom of your feet flat on the floor, or if you're able to, you can also sit cross-legged if that feels more comfortable for you. Just continue to focus on your breath. Let go of any distractions that you might have. And if you can visualize yourself sort of just standing at the beginning of a road or a path, and that path represents your personal life story. And if you can imagine with each breath that you take, you're also going to let go of any of the weight of old stories and just sort of begin to open up yourself to new possibilities of what new stories you can start talking about yourself. So that those new stories can look like an opening of your heart. It could look like a brightening of your pineal gland in the center of your forehead. And just start to set the intention of being open to rewriting your narrative of who you are as a writer with compassion, courage, and authenticity. Just take another few breaths on your own. And when you're ready to, you can put your video back on. All right, so ladies, when we talk about rewriting the narrative of who we are, our narrative is really just our stories, the stories that we continue to tell ourselves. That's shaped by our past experiences, our beliefs, and societal influences. And as a writer, it could certainly be connected to what we remember our parents telling us about our ability to be able to write. It could be connected to our feelings about school and our experiences in learning. So today we want to be able to reconnect with how it is that we feel about ourselves as a writer. And again, this could be about you as a professional writer, if that's what you want to be able to do, or if there's just some things you want to be able to do for yourself in your journaling as a writer. So today we are going to start off with a few journaling questions. What we usually do is we do 3 questions. I offer you the question. I'll give you 5 to 7 minutes to be able to put your thoughts down on paper. It doesn't need to be perfect. Um, and the times is specifically short because, we want you to be able to learn how to be able to just put your thoughts down quickly. And if you decide that you want to be able to take the questions and, take it further in your writing, you're certainly welcome to do that. So the first question is, what beliefs or labels have you internalized from family, society, or peers that may have shaped how you see yourself as a writer? How might these influence the way you approach your writing today? And I'm going to put the question in the chat so you'll be able to see it, but I'll repeat it. What beliefs or labels have you internalized from family, society, or peers that may have shaped how you see yourself as a writer? How might these influence the way you approach your writing today? One more minute. Hey. So the question is, what beliefs or labels have you internalized from family, society, or peers that may have shaped how you see yourself as a writer? And how might these influence the way you approach your writing today? So in general, what I ask is that if there's anyone who'd like to share what it is that they wrote, I'd love to hear it. The group would love to hear it. You can read what you've written, or you can just give us a summary of what your thoughts were. You can also do that as well. So would anyone care to go first?
I'll go first.
Sure.
So my father was a writer and a journalist, and during this exercise, I recall that my grandfather also taught me to write, the mechanisms of writing when I was a child, and that was those both of those things were sort of reinforced by attending Catholic school, which back in the day really focused a lot on both penmanship and writing in general. So I've always known that I could write. Over the years, I found it easy to express myself in written word and wrote poetry when I was in middle school and high school. But as an adult, I found myself sort of struggling in not as an early adult, but more recently, I found myself struggling to write down my thoughts and started realizing that it was kind of two things that were creating that. And one of them was me not wanting to like journal and leave behind journals after I'm gone that people would read. Um, and I still struggle with that, and I'm not really sure why. And then the other part had to do with realizing that I edit as I write. I tend to, especially now having access to a computer, I tend to write, but also edit my thoughts as I'm writing. And so recently, a fellow writer said to me, "Why don't you record your thoughts, and then you can let the free flow of ideas happen on the recording, and then you can write them out." So that's kind of where I'm at now with writing, wanting to get back to writing. I have a couple of books that I want to write, so I've been really thinking about this a lot. How do I continue to move forward as a writer?
That's a lot of good stuff in there, Keela. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that you have, this space to be able to help you to continue with at least perhaps working on a few of the ideas that you want to be able to working on. So I like journaling because it actually helps to give me some ideas of things that I want to be able to write about. So I think when I did a session with Fee with her group the other day to talk about the process of writing and journaling. And one of the questions that came up was, how do you get over your fear of journaling or writing things down when you're afraid of how people might take what you've written and how they might think about you once you're gone. And honestly, I think once we get closer and closer to the point where it's time for us to be able to leave here, I think we'll feel less and less concerned about that particular, whatever we did during our lives or whatever it is that we thought about, we'll feel less and less embarrassed or concerned, or and we'll be more in a loving, or more in a loving state to be able to share what it is that we've learned with other people. I think that becomes more important than the actual content of what it is that we've learned about. Um, so if we can sort of think about that as we write, and also I think it's kind of difficult to be able to live the life we want if we can't write it down.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, for me, just be not necessarily goal setting, but just being able to create the vision of what it is that we want to be able to live. If I can't write it down, then it's really difficult for me to be able to live the part that's really important to me. So those are just a couple of things to be able to think about as you move forward.
Thank you so much. And it's interesting because my dad passed away in 2007, and one of the few things that I kept of his is all of his manuscripts that he wrote that never got published, that my daughter and I are actually working on publishing now, and also all of his notes, all
Mhm.
of his journaling. And it's been interesting to read those, especially because I didn't really know him very well. And so it's given me a lot of insight into how he thought as a person.
Mhm.
Um, and I hadn't really thought about that before today. So just, how that could be viewed in that way by other people after I'm gone.
Yeah,
So thank you. Thank you for that.
you're very welcome. And that's such a gift to have all of those papers from your dad. Let's see. Would anyone else like to be able to share?
I would like to say something.
Who
Um,
is that?
that was a
Dietrich.
very is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, that was a very really in-depth therapeutic assignment. And I had to really, really think. And the only thing I could think of was my family would I never had any formal training as a writer.
Mhm.
I just knew I didn't even know I was a writer when I was young.
Mhm.
I just wrote poems and prose and all that. But there were books, conscious book, black history books, W.B. Du Bois book, poems, everything black in my household. And in my school, was black until we were bused across town, and then sort of lost the blackness. But anyway, I grew up with my peers that certain writing was labeled buffoonery and it
Mhm.
wasn't good. But deep down inside, I like that. I like that. I like Martin. I like Tyler Perry earlier stuff. I liked all that, and I like how some of them intertwine Black experience and had a message with that. So it has led me to believe right now I felt like I wasn't being my authentic self. And now, what you just said about as we are getting closer to leaving this earth, we're getting to the point where we don't care about what other people are thinking. And now I feel like I'm heading towards my authentic self.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. And
Mhm.
I certainly feel that as well. The older that I get, the less I start to care about what other people have to say about what it is that I'm doing. Mostly because I'm very clear on the fact that we only have one life to be able to live. And one of the things that I always walk around with in my mind when I'm making a decision on what it is that I want to do with my life, is remembering when my mom was in hospice. She died of cancer at 49. And
Mhm.
I remember maybe a few weeks before she died, she went through a point where she was just sort of talking, just sort of talking things out. And one thing that stuck out to me was just putting her hand up and saying, God, I just need another 6 months. I just need another 6 months. I just need another 6 months. And so we don't have time. We just don't have time to overthink. If there's something that you want to do, do it. Do it now. Do it while you still have all your faculties, your creativity about you. You still have your health. You have money to be able to move around and do the things that you want to do. Because when you get to the end, it's the end, and you just have to face that, and you'll just have to reconcile with the time that you have left. So I always think about that. I don't want to get to the end of my life asking for another 6 months. I want to get to the end and just say, I can go. I'm fine. I've done what I've wanted to do. Anyone else? We can do one more share.
I'll go.
Sure.
But I got to respond to what you just shared about your mom, because this week there's my children's coach, great guy. He just died of cancer, and I've loved him to life. And then another young lady in the group I'm in, 20s, gone. So it's just so true what you're saying. But I wrote about how, I'll just read it. Writing is a beautiful way of expression for me now, but as a youngster, I loved reading without making connection about writings, because in my family, writing was not a thing. And I was thinking, and my family was clothed in secrets and all kind of craziness. And I thought of Edwidge Donnecat, the young writer that said, fear the family member that raises a writer. And I wanted to express so much stuff, but I was super shy, didn't know that I could express through writing. So that influence in my family was all about performances. I was always pushed to act, sing, dance, play music. So I never got to tap into writing as a writer or writing as self-expression. So I think that influences me now, in that I enjoy it so much just for the expression of it. And when I was in acting school, and the elders said to me, who knew me since was a child, I see you as a writer. I was slightly insulted. I'm a performer, but I'm saying how you can just be involved and busy and not even know who you really are or what you can do. That's it.
Or that you can do more than one thing. You can be multi-talented, and that's okay. All those talents sort of feed the other thing. You don't have to give up other things to be able to do one.
True.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Sakai.
My pleasure.
All right, I want to go on to the next question. The next journaling question is, how have the labels others have placed on you shaped the way you approach your writing? And how can you reclaim or rewrite those labels to free your creative voice? I'll read it again. How have the labels others have placed on you shaped the way you approach your writing? And how can you reclaim or rewrite those labels to free your creative voice? One more minute. Okay, so the question is, how have the labels others have placed on you shaped the way you approach your writing, and how can you reclaim those labels to free your creative voice? Anyone would like to share? I'd love to hear it. Yes, me.
Okay. The first thing I wrote was an autobiographical solo play. While I'm from Nebraska, I wrote and performed this piece in LA about my family in Nebraska, not thinking or even concerned with them ever experiencing the show until I had this bright idea of taking the show to Omaha about 5 years after it first debuted in LA. It didn't occur to me that some of them would be upset and even in denial about my truth. Because I gives no cares today, I'm excited about taking some of these funny monologues from my show and writing some stand-up just to get these wonderful, salacious stories out. I'll continue to turn my tragedy into triumph.
I love that.
Thank you.
And you really can't care about what other people think about it. I have a teacher who teaches, she's a memoir teacher. She teaches spiritual memoir. And just this past week, we were talking about how do you write about other people, in your memoir, or, whatever project it is that you're doing. It's still relevant when you add other people to what it is that you're doing. And she says, you can ask these people to sort of read what it is that you want to be able, particularly if you're publishing. And that was really more her frame of reference. If you are publishing, you can ask the people to read it before you actually put it out, just to be able to, let it be known that, you kind of care about their input, but maybe not so much. But, what you do with it at the end of that is really up to you, because it's your story and how it is that you interpret your story. And that's really the part that that matters. How they interpret you putting the story out there is that's their own doing, and they have to reconcile with that on their own. But you telling your story is really, I think, part of your own personal development, and the telling of your story, and to making you stronger and being able to understand who you are.
Absolutely. It was and still is very cathartic. And it didn't even dawn on me to ask or tell, because it was the first thing I'd ever written. The first thing I ever wrote got published, and my director never suggested, oh, maybe we should change the names. I'm saying the names, they got to write up in Omaha. And I was like, oh, I'm calling him, I play a pimp, and my cousin was a notorious pimp in the Midwest. And so that's, it didn't even dawn on me. So I wasn't doing it out of malice. And no one told me that these are some options. I felt very free in telling my truth. And so, and it worked out, and no one died from it. Everyone's fine. They don't talk to me, but it's fine.
But you grew from it. That was
Yeah, that was the point. Yes.
Thank you, Fee. Anyone else like to share? Danielle.
All right. So I feel like, y'all were here last week or week before. You're just getting to know more of me. The labels others placed on me were really around unworthiness and being unwanted. Not knowing my father most of my childhood, he died when I was 16. So I met him, I knew him for like 2 years. Knowing from a very early age, my mom had disclosed to me that she wanted an abortion with me, and her mother refused because of religious beliefs. So that shaped and placed a seed of rejection in me, and I just carried for a long time. And but I escaped into books, and so reading was like my survival, in a place where I would dream about a different life. Um, my approach to writing first, when I look back on like old journals, I have so much compassion for that little girl. It was all around just cries for help, belonging, and understanding, just trying to make sense out of my life. I felt like I needed to atone for simply existing. And my writing also tended to be a little inauthentic, similar to what you mentioned. I didn't know where the bounds were, what I could share or not. And so it was very separate from my truth. And then I spent time like in the affirmation space, trying to like will myself into freedom and peace. But over these last couple of decades of healing and finding my way to worthiness, now as a writer, I see myself as an encourager and a truth teller. My writing is deeply influenced by my experiences, but the themes are around overcoming, naming pain, reclaiming my power, and finding joy.
That's gorgeous. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I particularly like as you said, your writing now focuses on naming pain. I think that's important to be able to pinpoint the thing that hurt you. You can't get over what you don't recognize is sitting there. And I think so many times we have so many other influences in our lives who just tell us just to sort of get over it, move past it. It wasn't that important. But as a writer, you get to be able to name the thing that hurt you. And you get to put a value on why it was important or how it affected you. And that's how we grow as people, as writers. So yeah, thank you so much, Danielle. That was beautiful. Anyone else? One more? I'll share a little bit of mine. For this question, I wrote about the reason I didn't write a lot when I was younger was mostly because of the discouragement of my own mom. I remember I would write a little bit when I was younger, and like in middle school and high school. And I had a French teacher in particular in high school who told me I was a really good writer. I was a good storyteller in particular, because of the exercises that she would have us do, have us write stories that were in small French. And I shared that with my mom one day, just sort of looking for some sort of acknowledgement of this compliment that I had gotten from my teacher. And she just sort of looked at me and just said, oh, she just kind of dismissed it. It was almost like I had interpreted my mom's reaction to my statement as saying I didn't really deserve the compliment. She was just, just saying stuff to be able to make me feel good. And that sort of killed my confidence a lot. And I just sort of started to write about thinking about how different my life would look if I had more confidence. It's not just the writing, it's also, it kills your confidence in other areas of your life as well. So yeah, so as an adult, we get to rethink those things and what those things mean to us, so that we don't have to live the entirety of our lives with that low sense of self-confidence. We get to reclaim our confidence for ourselves and be able to create something new for ourselves. So I'll go on to the last question. What struggles, where is it? Yeah, what struggles, talents, or life experiences have you overlooked or undervalued as a writer? And how might they become your greatest assets in your creative journey? What strengths, talents, or life experiences have you overlooked or undervalued as a writer? And how might they become your greatest assets in your creative journey? All right. We've got about 6 minutes left. Would anyone like to share what they wrote?
I'll share.
Sure, Ms. Carolyn.
I've spent the last 3 decades turning over every stone to see what might be hiding underneath that I could share, exploit, and manifest to leave as a legacy for anyone who may need what I have to offer. It's a thirst for life that cannot be quenched and a hunger that leaves my spirit yearning for added ingredients. The road to healing is intoxicating and works well with my creative attributes. Very often, I allow the needs of others to guide me to the space that I need to occupy as a writer. It can show up as a conversation, a blog, a poem, or a gnawing desire. My days of overlooking myself are over. When she speaks, I listen.
Beautiful. Your days of overlooking yourself are over. I love that. So you are writing for yourself first?
Yes, yes.
I think that's an important statement to make out loud, that you're writing for yourself first. We really can't, when we write, one of the things that I think that has stopped me from doing all the writing that I've wanted to do is because I think I'm writing to appease other people, or writing what I think other people would enjoy. When really it's, you can't really think about a whole big audience. You can write for other people, but you have to write what it is that you have to say first.
Right.
And then, what you've written will find its audience naturally, I believe,
That's true.
if you choose to share it with another audience. See?
I wanted to say that was beautiful, Carolyn. And you mentioned that you wanted to leave something, that's something that you have maybe for other people. You can leave me those earrings right now.
Thank you.
Thank you for your share.
In Style Culture, In Style Culture is the website.
I'm writing it down. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just wanted to repeat her refrain. The days of overlooking myself are over. That's just so powerful. And I think if I sum up what I was trying to write as my strengths, it was saying I have health now, I have energy, and I'm motivated. I do a lot of things in the community, which I love. I get that instant gratification from that, but I need to figure out how to do what you just said, overlooking myself. So I had wrote that I would direct more of my time for myself and more of my time for my writing. Because in the back of my head, I always have, I want to write, but I'm busy doing other things. So I'm going to really hold on to that of that motivation to hear and feel what I want and need, and even use it with my goal of writing.
I want to make a comment. As I come to these weekly sessions, a theme that I continually hear, particularly like myself, I'm in the later stages of life. A theme that I hear is how we've overlooked ourselves and how we put others' needs ahead of ourselves. And I'm hoping that the younger women in this group get a clue to that. Don't leave yourself behind at the expense of others. And so I hear that every week. And I also hear the confidence piece, the lack thereof. We have to treasure and have that inner confidence. I can look back and now and see where my confidence was impacted, where I lost it. And so I just hope that everyone, particularly younger ones, latch on to that. It is okay. In fact, it is necessary to put self first. So that was what I wanted to say today.
Thank you, Cynthia. And that's really why I wanted to do these writing circles, was because I felt like I had, made so many, I don't want to call them wrong decisions, but I made decisions that I probably would not have made had I had more confidence in myself, if I had put myself first, if I had more examples of women who had taken care of themselves, I would be a totally different person. And so I want to be able to encourage other women, other Black women in particular, to be able to tell their stories, because we need more examples. We need more stories. We just do. There's just simply not enough stories. If you go into the bookstore, there's not enough books that have been written by us and for us. There just isn't. And so this is just my way of being able to hopefully increase the number of books written by and for Black women, so that younger women have something to look at. Because what a lot of other younger women are looking at as role models, because they may not have the role models at home, it's just really heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And there's so many of us who have done so many things, and those stories need to be told. We need to be told about how we got there. Share your journey with other people. Don't be ashamed to share your journey with other people. Go ahead and write the journals, and be fine with leaving it behind for the next generation to be able to read.
Yes, Halona, I was really thinking this morning about how grateful I am that you started this writing group, because it allows us to be heard. It's one thing to write the story, but it's another thing to listen to each other's story. And I really appreciate this writing community, you know. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. You've been here since day one, Miss Carolyn, so thank you.
Thank you. I love it.
Thank you so much. Akila, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to add to what Cynthia and Fatima was saying, Fatima was saying, as an older woman as well in the later stages of life, one of the things I wrote in answer to the third question, the first thing I wrote down was confidence, because you had just been talking about it, but also it's a theme that has run through my life, and it definitely is predicated on growing up with confident women, strong women, who shared stories about the other strong women that they leaned on in their lives. And as I work with a lot of women in my work, I do see also that confidence is something that it comes up often. And when I delve into the stories behind those, there wasn't those role models, and there weren't those stories being shared. So one of the things also that I wanted to say is that as I've gotten older, my confidence has gotten better. Even though I already started out with a good dose of confidence, it has gotten stronger. And I think that that is also something that just comes with age and time. As you have life experiences and you reflect on your life, you do get you get to the stage of wisdom, which gives you more confidence. So don't think that it's hopeless, that you can't get there. You will. But there's definitely a need for more sharing of that. I grew up with stories of my grandmothers who were amazing women in their own right. And maybe in some parts of their lives they were messed up. I never heard about those parts. I only heard about the things that they did that were really good and that were really powerful. And those types of stories need to be shared more, but not to the extent where we see that we only can be strong. We also need to make room for ourselves to have grace, and to be graceful to ourselves as well. Because I think also the negative side of growing up with the confident stories is that I went through a phase where whenever I felt weak, I felt like I was falling short because that wasn't portrayed, that women also struggled. And so there has to be a balance between the confidence and, the struggle that we also, have to live with. So I just wanted to applaud, Cynthia, for even bringing that up, because I think it's very important. And yeah, let's tell those stories to the ones that come behind us. Yeah.
The balance is so key. We often haven't had the opportunity to not be strong, and we have to take the cape off. And the balance is what's needed.
And there's
Yes.
different types of strength. There's strength like going out in the world and doing the thing, and then there's strength in being confident in who you are and being okay with who you are and accepting and loving yourself and caring for yourself. And both sides of those have to be portrayed, with a balance. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that the drawback to not letting the young people know about the struggles and the lessons will create that feeling of inadequacy. So that balance is very important to let people know that that confidence had to be earned. It started from somewhere, and it probably started from struggle. And that struggle needs to be shared so that people don't feel so alone as they're going through whatever they're going through. Because for a very long time, for the traumas that I've experienced, I felt like I was the only one until I got the courage to share what it was. And then, people would come to me and say, that happened to me, or I feel like that. So, and you have people to work through it together, not just in the shadows. Because a lot of people don't make it out of the shadows because they feel alone.
True.
All right, ladies. Well, it's a little bit past 7 minutes past the hour. And I like to end on time, but I want to thank you guys so much. This is our last session for 2024. We'll be coming back in 2025. I think it's January 8th. January 8th is when we'll resume again.
You put 15th down.
Yeah.
Oh, did I? Oh, well, it's January 8th.
Oh, okay.
Even better. Even better.
January 8th is when we will be able to start up our sessions again. In the meantime, you'll be getting emails from me. There is also, if you are interested, I have a Substack weekly newsletter. It's $8 a month or $80 for the year if you're interested in that. I sort of use that as a extension of our circle here for people who are interested in being writers, or if you want more opportunities to be able to write, you can subscribe to that as well. For ladies who are watching the replay of the circle, you are free to join us live in the circle. Just go to the description box and click the link and put in your name and your email address, and you'll get weekly reminders of when we do the circle. So thank you, ladies. I really appreciate you all coming. I think this is the biggest group I've had since I started this in March. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for sharing. And I look forward to seeing you in January.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Halona.
We appreciate
Happy
you,
holidays. Happy New
Thank you.
Year.
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you.
Happy
Take care.
holidays, everyone. Yeah.
Whatever you celebrate during this
Exactly.
season, may it be wonderful, great, and beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Same to
Alana,
you.
I want to let you know you are on my list of things that I'm bringing into 2025.
Okay.
Yes.
So much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone. Happy holiday.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye. Love you.
Love you too.
Much love.
Alona, where do we find the Substack link?
The Substack link should be at the bottom of the emails. But
Okay.
I'll send out another email so you'll have it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. See you later,
It's
Akila.
good to see you, by the way. Yeah.
You
Same here.
too.